All right, this should be the last video of the day that I'm gonna do. I just wanted to start off by saying that I really do try to represent when it comes to the vibes that I'm genuinely feeling. When I really feel like I'm in a place where I have the vibes, wherever I am, I always try to represent that. I do believe that when it comes to kind of when you're doing like when you're doing a trip, let's say, or you're living somewhere and you're doing it for a special like purpose. And when I say special purpose, I mean like when you attach your own personal value to like a souvenir you have. You know what I mean? Something that's important to you. you know um it sometimes means more to you, even though the value may only be, let's say, $10, but or it may have no value, but you would value it over like your $50,000 vehicle. You know what I mean? For example, or your $1 million house. you know um and that's the same thing. Am I traveling to go party somewhere, or am I living somewhere, or whatnot, to discover my roots, to be to kind of revisit myself, to be more of myself, to be my genuine self, to find out the origins of myself, to live the origins of myself, to be closer to my kind of people, and to be more like my people, and to understand what my people are like. To me, that's a totally different thing. That's something that's not even worth sharing. I might want to tell people, by the way, I haven't been to Vegas. If I had ever gone to Vegas and gambled at every casino, or at the biggest casinos, guess what? I'd be telling everybody that I was staying at the best hotel, and I was going to all the casinos, and how much money I won and all that shit. But when you're doing something for yourself that's personal, that means something, it's typically not even worth discussing with anybody, telling anybody, or sharing with anybody, to be very honest. And that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. But at the same time, when you are somewhere, when you are somewhere and you have the vibes of that place, for me personally, what I can say is that when I have the vibes of a place, even if I'm not there, like let's say I had the Miami vibes, even though I was in Cuba at the time, or Dominican, or Colombia, I still had those Miami vibes. You know what I mean? Even though, okay, well, Colombia's kind of like Miami. It's not that far away, but it's not Miami. No, I still had the Miami vibes even while I was living in Colombia. And my point is that, and that I'm just pretty much having Latin homeland vibes, vibing with my ancestors, vibing where my ancestors once lived. You know what I mean? Vibing where our old lands and everything. You know what I mean? Vibing with my actual people, my real people. Or the origins, the oldest of my people, the oldest times. And that's a big deal for me, to be very honest. Do I have anything more to say on that? No, I think enough was said on that. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was pretty much what it means to be the same person no matter where you are. Now you got to understand what I'm really trying to say. Being the same person. Now, I could be a very good quality person, but a low level person of somebody of that quality. You know what I mean? At the same time, I could be somebody of that same quality at a much higher level. Like I could be at a much, much higher level of that same quality type of person. But regardless of that, whether I am or not, and that does make a difference. I'm not saying, but what I'm trying to focus on the fact that regardless of the level you're on, and detail, and that fact, just being the same type of person, having this kind of universal perspective and a universal mentality. Like, okay, you could put me in this side of the world, that's who I'd be. Yeah, I mean, you could put me anywhere in or you could put me in like, some of the worst places of Latin America. You could put me in some of the best places of Latin America. You could put me in Miami, LA, New York, but you could put me in in different places in any kind of old part of in some old part of Latin America, like some old historic part of Latin America. And either way, I would be the same guy more or less. It's just universal. And I did learn a bit of that. I did I did have some kind of understanding that was kind of sort of shown to me, while I was having those New York vibes. You could be somebody who's just hot, somebody who's being tested, somebody who's being fucked with. The thing is, in New York, when you're hot, when people are talking about you, there's got to be a reason that people are talking about you. You got to be worth the conversation or worth the vocab. Why are people talking about you? You got to be worth it. And when you're worth it and you're on people's minds, or they're talking about you, and New York, they'll talk about your money game, but really, they're talking about how hard you are. And I talked about that. And in that case, like I said, I did a couple, I did this and that. I was walling out and then robbed a bank. And then I told you later on after that, like that kind of took me in a bit deeper. Being somebody who's a bank robber, you got to understand that, if I was a bank robber, people can't fuck with me, you know what I mean? In a bad way and in a good way. And there were some good ways that I was getting, I was kind of learning a bit, almost being like taught a little bit and almost being set up with who I was. Because I just lacked the ability at that basic level to even understand who I was or what I was doing. But, somehow somebody, you can have some kind of people or anything. You can have anything that just, helps to connect you just better to who you are. You could be something when you're really young. You know what I mean? Like you could join something before you, like, I could be less than 18 years old. I could be 17 years old. I could be 17 years, just turning 17 years old or just 17 years old. And I could join something, and not even really even consciously be thinking about it. And then one day, like 10 years later, 10 years later, 10 years. Yeah, pretty much 10 years later, pretty much, really, pretty much, being 17, turning 17, around 17. And then 10 years later, I'm like connected back to what I had originally joined. 10 years later, I joined that thing. And then 10 years later, I'm like connected to what it is. And a year after that, it's like, okay, well, I'm in New York, but guess what? I'm still representing what I joined when I was 17 years old. Whatever I joined around that age, 10 years later, I'm just more connected with it. And that was being helped by other elements in New York that were kind of helping to connect me more to what I was, just a universal idea, and now I'm like, I've kind of just more deeply connected, more in reality, I've connected more, and I've literally connected more. And at this point, I know exactly who I am, even if I'm in like if I'm in the western part of Latin America, if I'm in Europe, if I'm in New York, Miami, it doesn't matter, because I know that who I am and what I'm representing universally. And I have a good idea of it and a good understanding of it, and I'm very glad to represent that. And I happily represent that and happily am that. I gotta tell you, I'll be honest with you, this is not my rap channel. I don't want you to get the wrong idea. And I'm gonna go back to True Life. True Life was really using rap. He really wanted it too. He thought that rap would make him, rap would bring out, what I really believe is, rap, especially when True Life was in there and Mobb Deep was in there, rap was all about glorifying your gangsta stuff. You know what I mean? Showing people how ill you are, how gangster you are. And I think he really wanted to do that on every level. He wanted to show that he had artistic talent, that he could rap, he could rhyme. He wanted to show that he was the man, that he was gangster. He wanted to rap about the streets and real shit. He wanted to be, put on and heard about in the underground. He wanted to earn respect. He wanted to be on the hip hop level, in the hip hop world and everything. You know what I mean? This is not that. I don't count this as an art. I might get a little bit better at it, but it's not an art. You know what I mean? I'm literally putting videos out so people can watch and hear my ideas and my perspective on things and talk a little bit about myself. But these videos are not a tool for me. This is not rap. You know what I mean? And I'll be very honest with you, if I was to choose something, it would probably be some kind of hobby, at the end of the day. And honestly, I can think of at least 3 or 4 different hobbies that I could get into. You know what I mean? That I think I would be good at. You know what I mean? At least 3 or 4 that I've already, that's already been on my mind, if not more. But this is not one of them. If I was to do something, I do something a little bit, and it's not even, you don't always do it for yourself. You just kind of contribute, you want to be a little bit part of it. I might not be able to contribute, especially in my current situation. I can't contribute or perform or show at a level of let's say, some people, some other people, but I'm not trying to do that. I'm not going yeah on it. And at the end of the day, whatever I do, even down to just playing piano, and I don't play piano, to be honest, even though I can play it, but I don't really like playing piano that much. I'm not really into it. But whatever it is, it's just something like I could do something and it's good and it's healthy, to have something just to kind of something to, just something good, proactive to do or productive. And then, it can always change. Sometimes I get bored of things after a little while, and it's like, not even bored, but it is what it is. You do something for a little while and it's cool to do. It could be as simple as art. You could be practicing art and things like that. You could be practicing music. Music is something definitely that music is a very good thing. I don't know, but at the end of the day, like I said, this thing is not that. This is not one of my things to put on like True Life and this is my thing, and that's not it. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I wanted to talk about, and the things that I talked about, and just being universal and contributing and being part of, things, and really there's not much to say. I don't want to confuse what I've said, so we'll leave it at where it is, and we'll leave it right here.